In the vibrant suburb of Evergreen Estates, my neighbors and I took pride in our meticulously maintained pool, a shimmering oasis that provided a refreshing retreat from the summer heat. Welcome to the channel. Subscribe or HOA might come at you. Our community was a tapestry of diverse personalities, each bringing their own flair to the neighborhood, and our pool was the beating heart of this collective spirit. For years, the pool had served as a gathering place for celebrations, casual afternoons, and spontaneous laughter shared under the open sky. However, our tranquil haven soon became the focus of controversy when the HOA unveiled plans to build a bridge over the pool, claiming it was a necessary upgrade for aesthetic appeal and improved connectivity. The proposed bridge was to be a sleek, modern structure that spanned the entire length of the pool, ostensibly linking the adjacent garden and the main clubhouse in a dramatic architectural flourish. Yet to many of us, the bridge represented an intrusion into our cherished sanctuary, a symbolic encroachment by an overbearing authority that prized uniformity over community sentiment. When a construction notice was posted on our community bulletin board, a wave of disbelief and indignation rippled through the neighborhood. Residents whispered among themselves about the impracticality of such a project, concerned that the bridge would not only disrupt the pool's natural beauty, but also endanger its safety. As the days passed, meetings were called and heated discussions erupted in the community center, with longtime residents and newer homeowners alike expressing their opposition. I found myself at the forefront of this impassioned debate, driven by a fierce commitment to preserving the pool's integrity and the spirit of our neighborhood. The HOA, however, remained steadfast, arguing that the bridge would serve as a symbol of progress and connectivity, uniting disparate parts of our community with its sleek design. Their vision was one of modernity and order, a stark contrast to our more organic, lived-in experience of the pool as a communal retreat. Despite their assurances, many of us were skeptical, suspecting that the true motivation behind the bridge was an assertion of control rather than genuine concern for our well-being. I remember standing by the poolside, watching the early construction crew survey the area with measured steps and cold blueprints in hand. The sight of heavy machinery and unfamiliar faces disrupted the usual rhythm of our neighborhood, filling the air with tension and uncertainty. Discussions quickly spread across social media, with residents sharing photos and concerns about the impending project, each post echoing the sentiment of betrayal by our once trusted HOA. As the groundbreaking date drew nearer, the community's collective anxiety transformed into a simmering resolve to take stand. We organized informal gatherings by the pool, brainstorming ways to assert our rights and voice our opposition in a unified front. Every conversation was tinged with the knowledge that our beloved pool was more than just a body of water. It was a symbol of community unity and freedom. I began reaching out to like-minded neighbors, rallying support and outlining strategies that would enable us to challenge the HOA's decision. Despite the intimidating power of the HOA and its access to legal resources, our grassroots movement grew stronger with each passing day. The bridge, in its abstract design and stark contrast to our natural oasis, had become a lightning rod for deeper frustrations about autonomy and community governance. I felt a profound responsibility not just to preserve a physical space, but to safeguard the collective soul of our neighborhood. Over the following weeks, we held town hall meetings that brought together a diverse cross-section of residents, from retired seniors to energetic young families. These meetings were marked by passionate speeches, shared memories, and a deep-rooted desire to reclaim the space that had given us so many joyful moments. We drafted petitions, collected signatures, and even sought advice from legal experts, all while the construction site grew more active in the background. In our hearts, we knew that any attempt by the HOA to impose its will on our community would not go unchallenged. The idea of the bridge had ignited a fire of resistance, one that would soon lead us to take bold and decisive action. Neighbors who had once been strangers now stood shoulder to shoulder, united by the common goal of protecting our pool and the memories it held. I recall late-night meetings held under the soft glow of street lamps, where our plans took shape and our resolve hardened. The discussions often turned to the symbolism of the bridge, a metaphor for unwanted impositions and the erosion of personal freedoms. Every member of our community, regardless of age or background, seemed to understand that this was about more than construction. It was about identity. We started to plan a dramatic counteraction, one that would not only halt the bridge, but send a clear message that our voices could not be silenced. Ideas flowed freely from peaceful protests to a more radical approach that involved reclaiming the space through direct action. The notion of bulldozing the bridge, once a fleeting thought, began to take shape as a symbol of our collective defiance against arbitrary authority. It was a risky proposition, fraught with legal and personal consequences, but the fire of resistance burned too brightly for us to back down. With each passing day, the blueprint of the bridge became a reminder of the growing divide between the HOA's bureaucratic mandate and our lived experience. As I stood by the pool, feeling the cool water ripple around my feet, I realized that we were on the brink of a pivotal moment in our community's history. The bridge had not only intruded upon a physical space, but had also come to symbolize the broader struggle for autonomy and self-expression. In that moment, with the pool shimmering under the afternoon sun and the weight of collective determination in the air, I knew that our neighbors and I were ready to fight back and reclaim our sanctuary, no matter the cost. The community's resolve to challenge the HOA's bridge project matured into a coordinated plan as soon as the first signs of construction appeared. Neighbors began gathering in secret meetings at the poolside to discuss their options and strategize a unified response. Legal advisors were consulted, and emergency town hall meetings were convened to dissect the bridge plans and explore loopholes in the HOA's authority. As whispers of civil disobedience filled the air, a committee was formed to oversee the planning of a counteraction that would later come to be known as Operation Bulldoze. This committee, comprising longtime residents and spirited newcomers alike, met every evening in a converted community center room adorned with whiteboards and detailed schematics. At each meeting, passionate voices debated tactics, ranging from peaceful protests and legal challenges to direct action on the construction site. The plan gradually coalesced around the idea of physically dismantling the bridge as a symbolic reclamation of our community's autonomy. Neighbors organized shifts and rehearsals, ensuring that every participant understood both the risks and the potential impact of the bulldozing action. Social media platforms buzzed with coordinated efforts as residents shared logistical details, safety measures, and inspirational messages to bolster morale. Local activists who had faced similar challenges in other communities offered their expertise, adding both strategic insight and moral support. Under the guidance of experienced organizers, volunteer groups began practicing the safe use of heavy machinery in controlled environments. The strategy was to approach the construction site at dawn before the contractors and security could react effectively. The plan was meticulously timed, with clear roles assigned to each participant, from drivers of bulldozers to security lookouts. Legal counsel cautioned that any physical act could have serious consequences, yet the overwhelming sense of injustice galvanized our community's determination. In parallel, a petition demanding the immediate cessation of the bridge project was circulated, gathering tens of thousands of signatures from local residents and beyond. With legal actions looming, the community united in an unprecedented display of solidarity that blurred the lines between lawful protest and rebellious action. Tensions escalated as the HOA dismissed our demands as mere emotional outbursts, further igniting our collective fury. Meanwhile, construction crews had already begun assembling the bridge framework, each component a stark reminder of the impending loss of our cherished pool. The community organized a symbolic march that wound its way through the neighborhood, a procession of residents brandishing signs and chanting slogans for freedom. At each turn, local businesses offered support, providing supplies, refreshments, and even temporary meeting spaces for the protesters. Throughout the day, the air was thick with a blend of anticipation, anxiety, and resolute determination that no bridge could bridge the divide between the HOA and its residents. On the eve of the planned bulldozing, the community held a vigil by the pool, where heartfelt speeches reaffirmed the sanctity of our shared space. In that moment, every tear and every vow of defiance seemed to merge into a collective pledge to reclaim what had been unjustly taken. At dawn, the operation commenced with the arrival of a modified bulldozer, its engine rumbling softly as it approached the controversial structure. A tight-knit group of residents, clad in matching shirts bearing the emblem of the community, guided the machinery with precision and caution. As the bulldozer's blade made contact with the bridge's foundation, there was a palpable pause, as if time itself recognized the gravity of the act. The first impact sent vibrations through the water of the pool, symbolically shattering the invasive design imposed by the HOA. In a cascade of debris and defiant cheers, the bridge's supports began to crumble, each piece a physical manifestation of the community's dissent. The act was both destructive and liberating, a raw demonstration of our collective power to reshape our environment. Nearby, residents cheered and recorded the unfolding drama, their phones capturing every moment as the structure fell piece by piece. Amid the controlled chaos, the bulldozer operator maintained a steady hand, ensuring that no collateral damage would be inflicted upon the beloved pool. A surge of exhilaration swept over the group as the bridge, once a symbol of bureaucratic overreach, was reduced to rubble before their eyes. The act of bulldozing was not just an act of defiance, but a reclaiming of the space, a statement that community rights were not for sale. As dust settled over the pool area, the atmosphere was charged with a newfound sense of possibility and reclamation. Legal authorities and HOA representatives were quick to respond, arriving on the scene with a mix of disbelief and measured indignation. The ensuing moments were tense as law enforcement deliberated over whether to arrest the participants, but the sheer scale of community solidarity dissuaded immediate action. In the aftermath, the rubble served as an undeniable testament to the power of grassroots activism, its significance resonating beyond the immediate neighborhood. Community members began clearing the debris, not to rebuild the bridge, but to restore the natural, unaltered beauty of the pool. The bulldozing operation, broadcast live on social media, sparked national conversations about homeowners' rights, community autonomy, and the limits of HOA power. With every broken piece of the bridge serving as a symbol of reclaimed space, the community emerged stronger, unified in their determination to protect the pool and the values it represented. In the wake of our audacious act, the debris of the demolished bridge lay scattered across the poolside, a powerful symbol of defiance against unwarranted authority. The community, still buzzing with adrenaline from our daring operation, gathered in solemn unity around the broken remains as we began to envision a future free from arbitrary control. Local authorities, stunned by the scale of our protest, quickly convened emergency meetings to assess the situation and determine the legal ramifications of our actions. In the midst of the chaos, neighbors from every corner of Evergreen Estates voiced a mixture of relief and pride at reclaiming the sanctity of our beloved pool. News of our bold stand spread rapidly throughout the region, igniting conversations about homeowners' rights and the power of grassroots activism. Social media platforms exploded with images and videos of the demolished bridge, capturing the raw emotion and determination that had driven our collective action. Journalists from local and national outlets flocked to the scene, eager to document this historic moment of community defiance against an overbearing HOA. As the media spotlight intensified, legal experts began debating the implications of our actions and whether the state would support our cause. In town hall meetings that followed, community members shared personal stories of how the pool had become an integral part of our shared identity. Residents expressed that the pool was not just a recreational amenity, but a symbol of freedom, unity, and the simple joys of communal living. The HOA, caught off guard by the widespread dissent, issued statements that vacillated between condemnation of the act and vague promises of future dialogue. However, the unified voice of the community could not be silenced by bureaucratic assurances, as many demanded accountability for the attempted imposition on our shared space. Community leaders and legal advocates held press conferences, articulating our stance that our actions were a necessary defense of our rights and heritage. Local government officials, who had previously been reticent, began to acknowledge the legitimacy of our grievances and promised to re-examine outdated regulations. In a landmark public forum, City Council members pledged to initiate reforms that would better balance the interests of private associations and the public good. The bulldozing event became a catalyst for an unprecedented dialogue between residents, legal experts, and policymakers regarding the limits of HOA power. In subsequent weeks, a series of community workshops were organized to educate residents on civic rights, legal remedies, and effective advocacy techniques. These workshops fostered a sense of empowerment, ensuring that every resident felt capable of contributing to the ongoing transformation of our neighborhood. A symbolic monument was erected near the pool, crafted from salvage pieces of the demolished bridge, commemorating our struggle and victory. The monument quickly became a cherished landmark, serving as a constant reminder that the community's voice is stronger than any bureaucratic decree. Local artists were inspired by the act of defiance, creating murals and installations that celebrated the reclaimed space and the spirit of resistance. Every time the sun set over the pool, the community gathered to reflect on the journey that had united us in pursuit of justice. Legal proceedings were initiated against the HOA for their heavy-handed tactics, marking the beginning of a broader movement for homeowners' rights. A coalition of civil rights groups and grassroots organizations lent their support, ensuring that our struggle resonated on a national scale. The overwhelming public support pressured state legislators to introduce bills that limited the arbitrary power of HOAs over communal spaces. Even as some conservative elements decried our actions as reckless, the majority of residents recognized the act as a rightful reclaiming of public space. Public opinion shifted dramatically, with polls showing that a vast majority of citizens endorsed the community's bold stand. Neighborhood gatherings transformed into celebratory events, where live music, art, and food festivals honored our newfound freedom. The pool area, once marred by the looming presence of the ill-conceived bridge, was revitalized into a vibrant hub of creativity and camaraderie. Residents organized regular cleanup drives, not just to maintain the pool's pristine condition, but as a ritual of renewal and collective empowerment. Local businesses thrived as the pool became a symbol of a reimagined neighborhood, drawing visitors from beyond Evergreen Estates. The success of our actions spurred similar movements in nearby communities, each drawing inspiration from our fight for autonomy. At community council meetings, voices once drowned out by the HOA's authority now resonated with confidence and clarity. The legacy of the bulldozing operation became a touchstone for local identity, celebrated in community literature and school curricula. Documentaries and books were produced that detailed our journey, ensuring that future generations would understand the power of unity and resistance. In the quiet moments following the tumult, I often reflected on the journey and felt immense gratitude for the collective spirit that had brought us together. Our actions, once controversial, had now laid the foundation for a more inclusive, participatory model of neighborhood governance. The demolished bridge, though physically erased, had become a powerful metaphor for overcoming oppressive regulations with community strength. In the end, our triumphant reclamation of the pool area signified more than a victory over an overreaching HOA. It was a rebirth of our collective voice. With renewed optimism and an unbreakable bond, our community embraced the future, confident that together we could shape a more just and vibrant home for all.